In the half-point underdog. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one.
Or a trillion, about. Maybe a couple trillion. I don't know. We'll see what Cheryce says. It's a Freedmen Friday, and I'm being joined on this mission to make ourselves smarter about reparations, to be part of the momentum, to understand the historical impact and weight of this moment in history. That's what Freedmen Friday is here for. We do it every Friday around this time, and I'm being joined right now by an attorney and activist who has been quite vocal in the fight for reparations and other issues specifically impacting Black folks. She's a graduate of Howard University School of Law, a graduate of UC Berkeley. She's worked in the private practice as a corporate attorney, an entertainment lawyer, and a real estate and program attorney. I'm going to resist the urge to ask about tariffs and other things because this is Freedmen Friday. Cheryce Cryer, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you today?
I am blessed. How are you doing?
The same. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. This is one of those I have good news and I have bad news kind of days for reparations, is it not?
Every day is a good day for reparations, so I think we're going to talk about...
Good answer.
I think it's all good news. Some surprising revelations, but I think it's all good.
When you say surprising revelations, what are you referring to?
Of course, Bill Asaley being appointed temporary U.S. attorney. That was a surprise.
Yeah, I kind of thought you might be, but I didn't want to assume. So for people that don't follow along, Bill Asaley is the Republican member of the California Congress who has carried a bill after seemingly supporting reparations and seemingly confronting Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, and was carrying a bill for a reparations bureau. Agency? I always mix up the two. One is an agency, one is a bureau. And he's now been appointed by the Trump administration. He's actually in the job now to be U.S. attorney for this region. What does that mean from your perspective? And, putting your legal hat on as well for this bill and for Mr. Asaley.
Well, for Mr. Asaley, that's probably what he was aspiring to anyway. But I think for the bill, point for reparations in general, especially in California, I think that it shines a spotlight with Republicans on what we're trying to do, that reparations is a nonpartisan issue. The Bureau, the agency, that's also a nonpartisan issue. But now we have a friend and not a foe in the Trump administration. So I think that bodes well for the reparations movement and reparations.
Wow, that's a really interesting take. I feel like he used us to get more note. He met with Trump and his sons before the election, and then, I mean, I know he's saying that he's going to get someone else to carry this bill, but a friend in the Trump administration, really? But his job has nothing to do with legislation or carrying anything like that. And to be honest, his public statements haven't indicated a real support for what we think of as reparations, like a check, real change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that, but I think my position has always been that we don't actually need him or one person to actually get what we want. It's a collective effort, and at the end of the day, this is a God-led movement, and God has the final say. And I'm believing that God is going to come through. I'm not relying on one person, because if I did, we tried to rely on the CLBC and Governor Newsom, and we were severely disappointed. And I don't have any high hopes for this coming, for the end of this coming legislative session.
Really?
From the CLBC. So,
well, I mean,
no.
From anyone then. I mean, okay, so we have time to talk about that. But I agree with you. I think it's a God-led movement and a people-led movement. And we know that there would be no anything. There would have been no task force, no nothing, if it wasn't for activists on the ground like you and, people normalizing it, talking about it, yelling for it. So we know that. I'm not deluded about it being. I don't think we were really even relying on the governor. I wasn't thinking, even if the CLBC had put that stuff on his desk, which surely it was their job to do, I wasn't like counting on him signing it.
Right.
Yeah, but that said, I feel like, to me, have you heard anything about who is? He said he has someone to carry the bill. Who that is, or any concrete steps toward that actually happening from Bill Asaley?
I don't want to say. So I know with U.S. attorneys, I had a acquaintance that worked in the last administration, not the last Trump administration, but worked with the DOJ under the Biden administration. There are very strict rules, and there's some people who are following rules and some who aren't. But there are very strict rules about interference with jobs or positions that are not under the purview of the U.S. Attorney's Office. So they're not supposed to provide the appearance that they are biased in any political way. So I said all that to say I have not heard from Bill Asaley's office or Bill Asaley himself who that person is. I suspect who could carry that mantle, who might be interested in picking it up. I have not been able to confirm. We'll see what happens. And then I think you mentioned it last week on Freedmen Friday, or it was 2 weeks ago when you had Erica on, a potential merging of the two, at least the two agency bills. I would love to see that, and I believe Akiva Weber alluded to that in the Cal Matters article that she was quoted in, because she did say that she would be willing to work with anyone. This is a nonpartisan issue, and I'm just kind of summarizing what she said. But I think it's possible that the ideologies could merge, maybe the bills could merge somehow. But if not, I don't see that it would be too controversial for another Republican in the legislature to pick it up. It's just, who's that going to be?
I mean, the fact is that bills merge all the time, right? On the national level and on the state level. So that's not impossible. And to me, that would seems like a best case scenario, because theoretically you would have more support for it.
Right. But we still have to talk about SB 437, which you've called a poison pill. And I think that bill is a hindrance to any of the reparations related CLBC bills because that study is it's a companion bill. You have to do the study first, and it also gives the governor an out if he decides that the other CLBC bills are a little too controversial, or
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, we definitely need to talk about that because it's confusing. But I think, wherever you are on on the politics of California reparations, we can't get in a position where no matter what we put out there, it's going to be indefinitely delayed. And this seems to have the potential to do that.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll unpack that a little bit more when we continue. I think that, you said you don't have high hopes. If for those who missed it, me and Chris Lodgson were in a very heated conversation about this on a Freedmen Friday a few weeks ago. If you want to go back, you can get it wherever you get your podcast. It's actually pretty wild and, entertaining for sure. But this idea that people have hope that a Republican can pass a bill. I mean, any bill. Forget about reparations, like a dog catcher bill, because Dems have a super majority in the state, seemed to me to be a strategic misstep.
So again, this is a nonpartisan issue, and I'm relying on God. If you talk to some of the other reparationists that I interact with, that is what I lead with. And I expect God to do big things, and I expect a miracle. And whether that miracle is a Republican is going to pass the first reparations type bill in the state of California, or it's going to come through executive order, or we're all going to join hands somehow in the Black community and get the bill passed to the governor's desk with no study, no delays. However it happens, God is going to decide, or God knows how that's going to happen. So I'm not looking.
The reason I laughed was not because I think you're wrong. I laughed because I love how you just are so firm in your vision. And, I'm not mad at that at all. I think that is what it's going to take to make any progress in reparations is unwavering conviction and vision. So that's why I was chuckling, not because I disagreed or I was clowning what you said, but because you're so clear and obviously have thought this through in many different ways. We are going to talk about the so-called study bill and what the strategy is, because I know that even with little faith in the CLBC, there still has to be strategy and pressure. So we'll look at that and more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving Black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% Black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of Black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of Black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting, on Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominique DiPrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate Day 100 since the wildfires flared up. And we discuss where where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eaton Altadena Fire, 100 Days and Counting Town Hall, Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. This is a community call to action, brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Talking with attorney Cheryce Cryer. It's a Freedmen Friday. You are welcome into the conversation. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. That is the number to call. In case you've been under a rock or you just don't pay attention to reparations in general, the California Legislative Black Caucus was meant to push forward several bills last August at the end of the legislative session. They failed to bring their own bills, several of their own bills to the floor. I would argue the most important ones. And that has caused some incredible clapback from the people, some repercussions. They did introduce a new package of bills. Actually, before the legislative session even started, Assemblymember Isaac Bryan put forth a bill around university admissions. And a lot of grassroots organizers here in LA, and even, of course, Chris Lodgson in Sacramento, do not like that bill. We're on agree to disagree on that. I think it's a good thing. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that, Attorney Cryer, but it's a package of bills, and you're saying that overall you don't have a lot of hope.
Well, first, they changed the name from reparations to the road to repair, which that signals to me that they are scared of using the term reparations, just like a lot of people now in California, especially, which I'm surprised about because we're supposed to be so liberal. We are scared to use the word black, and I'm not scared to use the word black with a capital B.
I always put a capital B. It needs a capital B.
Yeah, this capital B. The term POC, people of color, BIPOC. I don't use any of that because I feel like that whitewashes or washes out our cause claims. I
know a lot of people feel that way. I use BIPOC when I mean BIPOC. I use black when I mean black. Right. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's right. Like I call an elephant and a giraffe a giraffe. Like, right. Yeah, but your point is taken.
So, not to go off on a tangent, but if we're going to talk about reparations, let's make it reparations. So that was the first issue, is that they're calling it the road to repair. I'm not shying away from using reparations because no other group does, so why should we? That's number one. Number two, I believe Assemblymember Isaac Bryan's bill gives priority admission to only the UC system, which is weird to me. Why not? If you're going to do the entire, California education system. But that was not one of the recommendations of the California Task Force.
Well, they recommend access to education. They recommend educational measures to close the gap, the opportunity gap
for cash payments for tuition. Like, what am I? So if I had a kid why would anyone? So this is bad precedent. There's no precedent for what they're trying to do. That's first of all. Second of all, with the
but really, there's no precedent
209
for any of this. I mean, I guess there is.
There's
precedent for reparations. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and there is
yeah.
one for a Freedmen's Bureau for sure, or agency,
Right.
whichever we decide to call it. But
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying there's a lot of
Priority-
things. Right. There was no precedent for
Priority
Evanston.
admission. That is not. Again, that was not one of the recommendations. But if say this bill, in whatever universe it does pass,
Mm-hmm.
how are they supposed to pay for it?
In whatever
So we get
universe.
priority admission for what? I mean, and how does that help me? I graduated from UC Berkeley in 2002. So
Yeah, I mean, but
how-
not every measure is going to help every person, doesn't it? Let me ask
Right.
you to speak on it from a legal perspective. Wouldn't this provide a precedent for the lineage model? I mean, we know it will get challenged in court if it does, like you say, by a miracle pass.
If it does by miracle pass, it's going to get challenged in court.
Right.
And I think it's a waste of California's resources to try to defend something like this when we could say instead have tuition payments or tuition forgiveness.
Yeah.
Something that has precedent that you could say, even if it does get challenged in court, you could say motion to dismiss because we have precedent for this.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make a novel argument on something that you don't have legs to stand on, I don't even think Isaac really believes that in this bill. What I think that when I look at the Road to Repair package, what I see are a lot of bills that don't have any dollar amount tied to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I am offended that my legislative Black caucus is not bold enough to stand up to ask for funds for my community, because I want to talk about what they are supporting with the Latino caucus are two other bills that have money and funding written into, or the request for money and funding written into their bills. And those bills, one is for a Latino commission, a statewide Latino commission. The other one is for a immigrant and refugee bureau. There is no study attached to either one of those bills. Now, if I'm the legislature, I would be careful in this climate about having inconsistencies for different communities.
Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't looked at those bills. I mean, I can't really weigh in on that because I haven't looked at those Latino bills, and I know that's always an issue of comparison. For me, whether he believes or he doesn't believe, that's a judgment call, and it seems like folks are, just mad, disproportionately mad at Assemblymember Bryan, which is interesting because he's the only one that showed up to the town hall, the only one that showed up to Face the Music on this show in person, et cetera, et cetera. But however you feel about him, my thing is, wouldn't it, whether you like the bill or not like the bill, if it holds up, wouldn't that be a precedent for the lineage model as far as the courts now recognize this in the modern era as a protected group, as a specific harmed group that therefore, could be applied to other kinds of reparations models, whether it's a check or whatever other things we're able to accomplish?
That is, again, that bill has no funding tied to it. There's no money. And so for me, that's not reparations. I think when you're talking about precedent and setting a standard for the lineage model, it could be a way to get in, but there would also I'm not sure if his bill has been amended, but when I first read it, it said descendants would have priority admission. Now, the interesting thing is during the pandemic, I sat on a virtual panel for Prop 16 with Assemblymember Isaac Bryan before he became an assembly member. So he knows full well the issues with affirmative action, if you want to call it that, because that's what the bill looks like to me when you talk about priority admission. It looks like affirmative action, and Prop 16 got so much
well, I disagree with that, because that would mean it would be open to everybody. This is only open to descendants of, No,
his original bill said descendants. So I should say descendants of slaves, I believe, or slavery. It wasn't specified whether it was American chattel slavery. So maybe he's updated the bill since then, but it was not specific enough. But if you don't have a mechanism to determine who that community of people are, then the bill it's just a futile effort. So I'm not sure. That was the very first bill I saw that was introduced by the CLBC that was supposed to be tackling the Reparations Task Force. So there was no introduction of a bureau bill at the time. So I'm just not sure what their strategy was. If they were just trying to throw something to the wall to see what would stick, they wanted to shut us up or say, "See, we are working on something." I don't know, but it seems to me that it just wasn't well thought out. But the issue is when you're not working with the people who actually have come up with the policy that you are trying to tackle, then you have a problem. And I've called all of their offices. We were at the Capitol in January, and I follow a lot of them on social media, and I see that they're meeting with constituents because they're taking pictures with them, and their offices are posting them. So why? And I have not seen them meet with any Black constituents. Well,
I mean, to be fair, Isaac Bryan met with Chris for 2 hours, Chris Lodgson. So that's a Black constituent right there. But I don't want to turn this into a referendum on that. I'm interested in where we are. So you're definitely with Chris and others and not supporting that particular bill. We're up against news, traffic, and sports. I want to pivot to SB 437. We only have 30 seconds. You want to tee up what it is, and we'll dive deeper on the other side.
It's a delay tactic, and I think it's a money funneling operation. And I'll leave it at that.
Ooh, that's a good tease. A money funneling operation inside of a proposed reparations or repair bill. Attorney Cheryce Cryer, Dominique DiPrima, Freedmen Friday on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. The Senate voted 52-48 to advance President Trump's budget plan, which includes steep tax cuts, increased immigration enforcement spending, Pentagon expansion, and a $5 trillion debt limit increase. A tragic incident occurred at a Texas high school track meet where 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was fatally stabbed by 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony after an altercation. Metcalf, a student at Memorial High School in Frisco, died in his twin brother's arms. Anthony, a student from Centennial High School, has been charged with first-degree murder. Train service between Philadelphia and New York has resumed after a crash in Pennsylvania that killed 3 people. The victims were on the tracks in Bristol Township and were hit by a southbound Acela train. And a 21-year-old Black man in New York, Sebastian Bozil, has been cured of sickle cell anemia using a new gene therapy called Lyfgenia. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Step into springtime at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. From March 29th to April 20th, celebrate the season of transformation with a stroll through Butterfly Jungle. Discover a kaleidoscope of beauty with butterflies of every size, shape, and color. Learn more about this vibrant world at sdzsafaripark.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A troubling loss for the Lakers last night at home to Golden State. Steph Curry scored 37 to lead Golden State to a 123-116 win. The Lakers dropped from 3rd to 4th in the Western Conference standings after tonight's home game against New Orleans. 4 of the Lakers' last 5 regular season games are on the road, including 2 at number 1 Oklahoma City. The Lakers are only 2 games away from falling out of the top 6 for an automatic spot in the playoffs. The Clippers are playing Dallas tonight at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers are only a half game behind Memphis in Minnesota to move into the 6th spot. It's game night for the UCLA women's basketball team. UCLA takes on Connecticut in the Final Four at Tampa. 6:30 tip-off on ESPN. It'll be interesting to see how the Bruins, the number one overall seed in the tournament, respond to being a 7.5-point underdog. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-335-2299. That's 800-335-2299.
After producing an award-winning climate justice campaign in 2024, KBLA Talk 1580 has gone all in on its 2025 Climate Justice plus Black Health Initiative. April is Minority Health Month, and Urban Family Focus, in partnership with Providence Health Systems, presents The Heart of the Matter. Providence doctors and health equity officers will participate in informative and life-changing conversations on hypertension, health equity, behavioral health, and community engagement. Don't miss these empowering conversations on Urban Family Focus every Saturday in April at 7 and Sunday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sponsored by Providence, Southern California's largest and most comprehensive health care network. We've got a lot to talk about on KBLA Talk 1580. Download the KBLA 1580 app or log in to KBLA1580.com. I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. On KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Indeed, that's where we are, and I'm really happy to have attorney Cheryce Cryer on. She's a reparationist. She is an HBCU law grad from Howard in the Thurgood Marshall mold of lawyers. We're talking reparations. Yes, let's call it what it is. Howard Law has produced some amazing folks. We're talking about SB 437, this part of the road to repair package. And, I'm not mad at people for changing names right now. Nobody wants to say DEI. There's the Trump administration's put out a list of words you're not allowed to say, which includes women. You're not supposed to say women, for example. So I can, and everyone's running scared. Not everyone, but a lot of people. So I get that.
Not Bill O'Saley.
Well, he sure ran the heck out the legislature and left us hanging, making some folks look a wee bit naive. But that's another conversation. Why is he is basically a political provocateur. Of course he's not scared. He's under the MAGA umbrella. Why would he be scared?
I'm just saying there are people who, again, I'm not scared to say black with a capital B, and I think it speaks to I don't want to say the unseriousness, but I just feel like being bold, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying reparations and addressing the harm.
Hey, I'm with you. I mean, I'm with you, obviously, or I would have resigned my job because, I've got to be on a most wanted radio host list somewhere. I say reparations every chance I get. Like, as Paul Mooney used to say, it makes my teeth whiter. So I'm with you, but I'm just saying I understand it. But anyway, that's a whole list of proposed bills.
Right.
And one of them is 437, which is which is a study. It gives the California State University system $6 million to decide who is eligible. Is that a fair assessment or summary?
Yes, it's a study of genealogy. But the question is, number one, why did they choose, or why did the governor choose, because apparently this is his bill, why did the governor choose the Cal State University system and not the UC? Why isn't it spread across all of the California education system? Why not the community colleges? Why not?
I mean, that doesn't seem weird to me. Usually when people find an academic partner, they usually go with one because you want to, you want to streamline, but I don't know, maybe there is something suspect there. I haven't looked into it. To me, what seems most problematic is what you pointed out earlier, is that there's no sunset on this. And so they can study for another 100 years. And nothing else, it appears nothing else moves forward until the study is completed, right?
Right. And that's the issue I did bring up with those members of the education committee who voted yes to move 437 ahead. The author, Dr. Akilah Weber-Pearson, did acknowledge that she would update the bill. I have not seen where there's an update where there's going to be a beginning and an end, but the Cal State can always come back and ask for more money. The $6 million, again, I don't have a problem with working with the Cal State or the California school system, because I'm a product of, and I love college. I got a great education. So shout out to California public schools. But again, why specifically the Cal State? Because it looks like they're having some budget issues right now.
Yeah. I'll say, and not to mention political issues being targeted by, Washington. The couldn't that bill be not? I mean, that bill could be not supported, and other bills in their lineup, including ACA 6, which would prohibit slavery in all forms and different things like that. Right. Couldn't we support the agency bill, support ACA 6, and not support 437? I mean, that seems like the most sensible way forward.
I think that's a great idea, but talking to my own representative's office, and I think I reached out to Tina McKenna's office as well, the bill that she has for the down payment assistance, all of those bills now have to be amended if they haven't already been, to be contingent upon 437. So that's problematic because they have not defined.
So that means if 437 doesn't pass, they become null and void?
So I talked with someone about that yesterday. I think they can amend the bills toward the end of the legislative session. It really depends on the progress of 437. And it looks like 437 is moving along. SB 518, which is the other Bureau bill, I think it's moved return to the judiciary. I'm not sure. That bill does not look like it's moving as fast, but I believe the intent was to make all of the CLBC's bills contingent upon 437 because they don't actually they have not defined who the class of eligibility is. They want to study that. They made that very clear, especially at their press conference that announced the bills. Dr. Akilah Weber doubled down on that during the hearing for SB 437, and she also misstated the task force report, even though she had it in her hand, and said that it required a genealogy study. It requires a genealogy department under the Bureau. And I really hit hard on those who voted yes on the bill to move it to the next committee, because I'm like, you didn't read what she quoted. You didn't read the task force report at all. You're just passing bills based on party line, which is that's not what we sent you to Sacramento to do. I'm not paying taxes. I'm not voting for you just to be passing bills because someone asked you to. You need to do your due diligence. And I believe you had a representative on your show last week who voted yes. She was the chair of the education committee, and her excuse, it was an excuse, oh, well, I want to do, I believe in a scientific method. You don't believe in a scientific method to determine who's an immigrant or a refugee. But when it comes to the descendant community, we got to have all the jumpsuits.
I mean, that's apples and oranges, though, because if you came across the border, we can see it. It's in real time right now. You're a migrant. There are black people in this country that are not descendants. You know that.
I have documentation. No, I have documentation too. And when I asked my representative, how do you determine who is an immigrant and refugee? Yeah. I think a lot of people do. And so this notion that we don't know our history, because someone said that to me yesterday who's not in the community. Oh, how do you guys determine that you're a freedman? And I had to explain it to her because she was under the impression that it was hard or impossible, because that's what mainstream media tells America. That is a white supremacist viewpoint that we don't know or we cannot find our history. It's 2025. So for anyone to make that excuse,
I mean, clearly there are some, but most of us can, yeah. Clearly there are some. If you escaped your enslavement and went into a maroon community and came out, if you escaped and changed your name so as not to be found. I mean, there are cases, but clearly, to your point, most of us, you can get to census. You have family, documents. There's pictures. In my case, I have a photograph. Clearly that is a narrative that is not based on the reality of where we are now. I want to go to the phone. We got Carolyn calling us from Long Beach. Carolyn, may have to tee up your question and then keep it pushing and answer on the other side. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, good morning, Dominique and Attorney Cryer. Like you, I mention reparations on a daily basis. And it's really because of the advocacy of CJEC, the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. They're the ones that brought Cali reparations to my attention because of their work with Dr. Shirley Weber, who authored the task force bill. And so I've been following along, like really engaged in the whole process. Understanding the process because I've worked on other bills before that have passed. One in particular was the health care bill and the affordable health care bill. And I watched how that passed, and I watched how the community worked with that bill. So I understand what it looked like. So during the process, when we got to the end and what happened in August happened, I was shocked and amazed. So I just keep closely looking at it. And my comments about the study bill, the SB 437. So this is a study bill to study genealogy, and you had mentioned, what
Okay,
the bill
I had
was.
asked you to tee up the question, so I got to keep it pushing. But can you stay with us? Because I want to give you time to land here.
Okay, all righty.
Yeah, it's because it's more of a statement than a question. I thought you had a question for Attorney Cryer, but I want to definitely complete your statement when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Stephanie Mills. The BPC presents The Queens, 4 Legends, One Stage Tour. Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, and Stephanie Mills. The Queens, 4 Legends, One Stage. May 11th at Kia Forum. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
Attorney Cheryce Cryer is my guest. Carolyn from Long Beach was making a point. Carolyn, I want to have you go ahead and land. You were talking about SB 437, the so-called genealogy study bill that many feel, and I'm certainly... it seems that way from what I know so far, unless some changes are going to be made or have been made. It certainly does seem like it could be a poison pill for the entire reparations slate. But I wanted to let you land here.
Sure. So thank you. My question to Attorney Cryer is this. Doesn't it make sense to take the $6 million that they want to give to a study and just hire a genealogist team that already knows how to get to genealogy and how to identify descendants of chattel slavery? I mean,
what they're talking about is creating a definition for the state of what the state would recognize. So it wouldn't just be hiring a team, it would be hiring a team that would somehow be approved to come up with I guess it's a legal definition? Is that what you would say, Attorney Cryer?
It's a waste. it's a waste. This is so antithetical to what the task force recommended, but also they already had genealogists. They had a whole panel of genealogists testify.
Right.
We already have a definition of what a descendant is, i.e. a freedman, a Negro, a Black American. All they need to do is codify, and even if they don't codify, they need to just recognize the definition or the history, and they could do that through the Bureau. And I actually recommended, if we don't have a Bureau, we can have an executive office under the governor's cabinet. I recommended that at the town hall, and I said it directly to Isaac Bryant. He was there. So you're not listening, and not you, they are not listening to the community. They're listening to themselves, and they're in an echo chamber, and that's not how this is supposed to work. It's supposed to be collaborative. So I would say, no, that's not necessary. And who at the Cal State has the expertise for genealogy? Because it's not just the Cal State. They can hire nonprofits, they can hire other organizations, et cetera. I mean, it's a waste.
So my takeaway from what you're saying, Attorney Cryer, is that they could handle this within the agency by hiring experts, or even partnering through the agency with scholars inside.
With the Cal State. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
Understood.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the call. So let's go to Ira, one of our Republican friends who listens in. Hi, Ira. Republicans are out this morning. We appreciate your support of KBLA. What's on your mind?
Thank you for your time, Dominique. Listen, I like Attorney Cryer, but Dominique, you're full of it. You're one of those black adjacent females like Candace Owen. I mean, you don't mean black people any good.
So you called here to insult me? That's what you woke up this morning and decided to do. You thought, I'm going to go and attack a black woman on her own radio show. A 5-time Emmy Award winner, National Association of Broadcast Award winner, decades-long community activist. I'm going to just get on her show and talk smack. You don't have a question. You don't want to contribute. You don't want to contribute to reparations. You just want to attack me. That's your agenda. Okay. Did you have anything to say about reparations, Ira?
Yeah, I do. Obviously,
okay, well, let's get to that then. Otherwise, it's goodbye, hon.
Yeah, obviously reparations is something that needs to be seriously considered. It's not being. They're playing with us. They're lying to us. And it's just taking this further afield. That's
Got
why
it.
things aren't
Thank you,
getting
Ira.
done.
Have a nice day. Your response to Ira, Ms. Attorney Cryer.
Whoa. So do I have to respond?
No, you don't. You actually don't.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to bring up really quickly, I am going to be on a subcommittee for the Santa Monica City Reparations Task Force. Shout out to them.
That's great news. That is great news.
I have connections and roots in Santa Monica. Shout out to grandparents who live there, homeowners, business owners. They have since passed on, but look forward to honoring them and representing the family on that task force. So,
wow, that is amazing news. I know that the deadline was last week. And I was hoping that some real reparationists that were knowledgeable and dedicated would get on that committee. So that is amazing news. Break down what that means and you know what's happening in Santa Monica for those who haven't been following.
Well, I think Santa Monica has been on a long road to restoration. I'll say that. There was an apology. Well, let me back up, and I'll do this quickly. After George Floyd was murdered, I know the city issued a proclamation. They wanted to have a Black agenda. That was during the pandemic. I was trying to work with him on that, and it just kind of fell through. Fast forward, they did issue an apology to Black residents, a formal apology. They actually gave the proclamation out to 5 families. My family was one that received a copy of the proclamation, and I believe it's enshrined at the front of City Hall. But, you know, as far as the task force, it from what it looks like, it may be a combined effort for Native Americans and for Black Americans. And, you know, I want to explore how we can make sure everyone's issues are heard and it's not one group's issues outweigh the other, et cetera. I would like to bifurcate the issues, but I'm on a subcommittee. So, we'll see what that looks like. We haven't had our first meeting yet. We'll meet next week, and then I'll be able to report back because I'm just not sure how, what it looks like going forward, because everyone's definition of reparations is different. And, I know what I'm working for. I'm working for the Freedmen community. But I also want to just give a word of encouragement to those in the comments. I do see a lot of people that tune into your show via YouTube, and they always get exasperated when us reparationists come in. And here go these people again. That's all they care about. Yes, this is what we are passionate about. But I want you all in the comments to stop and take a deep breath, okay, and exhale. We are doing this not just for us, and this is not necessarily just about a check. This is about a justice claim that's overdue. And I would encourage you to listen to what we're saying. Let the experts have at it. And if we get all of the things, you should be encouraging. I think it's a defense mechanism for Black people to say, oh, it's never going to happen. Why do they keep talking about that? Because we have been so disappointed by this country that we love so much. My final thought is be of good cheer, because you will see the goodness of God in the land of the living.
Amen to that.
Be of good cheer.
Amen to that. And also, I think, there's a lot of love for you in the chat, too. A lot of people are grateful that you're taking a concrete step, that you've got on this commission. That's why I invite everyone in. And I think that's where we need to be. We all need to be at the table for reparations, all in for reparations.
Mm-hmm. All in. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with the reparations movement. And even if it does not happen the way we think it should in California, we still have commissions across the country, but we still have a federal fight. And I don't care what is happening. It looks like the world is falling apart. I am still advocating behind the scenes for us to have a Freedmen Commission at the federal level. Again, be of good cheer. I really think God is going to do something amazing and blow our minds in 2025. And I'm talking about for the Black community. Even in the midst of all this turmoil, I think he's going to show up and show out for us, because it's time.
You know what? I agree. I agree with that. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm expecting something sudden and profound.
Amen.
Yeah, amen to that. If folks want to tap in with you or tap in with organizing around reparations, what would you suggest?
I would suggest following CJAC on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and that's Coalition for Just and Equitable California.
Thank you for your time this morning, Attorney Cryer. I can't wait to hear more about your work in Santa Monica. I'm really excited about that. What an encouraging way to end a Freedmen Friday.
Thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a good day.
All right, phone lines are open. If you got something to say it now. 800-920-1580. Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 15.